Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now let's meet our guest. Today, we are joined by the legendary physiologist Ivan Pavlov. It is an absolute honor to have you here, Ivan.
Thank you, Calvin. It is a true delight to be here. I must admit, finding myself in such a fascinating conversation from beyond is quite an unexpected thrill. I am ready to delve into the past with you.
For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
I am Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. I spent my life as a physiologist and physician, primarily focused on the intricate workings of the digestive system, and later, the fascinating study of conditioned reflexes.
When and where were you born?
I was born on September 26, 1849, in Ryazan, Russia.
What was your given name at birth?
My given name was Ivan Petrovich Pavlov.
What was your hometown like growing up?
Ryazan was a relatively small town in central Russia. It was a place where life moved at a steady, traditional pace, influenced heavily by the church and the agricultural surroundings.
What was your family life like?
I was the eldest of 11 children. My father, Peter, was a village priest, and my mother, Varvara, managed our bustling household. It was a life filled with responsibility from a very early age.
What kind of kid were you?
I was quite energetic and active. Unfortunately, I suffered a serious injury from a fall as a young child, which kept me at home for some time. That period, however, allowed me to spend a great deal of time in our family garden, where I developed a deep, abiding interest in natural history.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
Given my family background, I initially intended to follow in my father's footsteps and become a priest. I even attended a theological seminary. But the natural world kept pulling at my curiosity, and eventually, science became my true calling.
What was your first job?
After completing my medical training and my studies in Germany, my early research was focused on the physiology of the circulatory system. I became quite skilled as a surgeon, investigating cardiac physiology and blood pressure.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Deciding to leave the theological seminary. At the moment, it felt like simply changing my field of study, but it was the turning point that allowed me to enroll at the University of St. Petersburg to pursue the natural sciences. That decision set my entire future in motion.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Balancing limited resources and finding the right institutional support for my research in Russia was a constant challenge. There were years where finding a suitable professorial position was quite difficult, and the tragic loss of family members added deep personal weight to my life.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I was incredibly disciplined. Some might say compulsive. My day was governed by strict timing. Lunch was always at noon. I went to bed at the exact same hour every evening, and my work, including feeding my experimental subjects, followed a rigid schedule. Consistency, I believe, is the best framework for clear thinking.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I likely would have remained a dedicated researcher and professor. My satisfaction never came from the fame, but from the intellectual joy of understanding how life functions.
Did fame bring happiness?
Fame was an unexpected consequence of my work, but it did not change my internal drive. Happiness for me was always found in the laboratory, amidst the pursuit of truth, not in the attention of the public.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The administrative burdens and the constant political attention, especially in my later years, were exhausting. I much preferred the quiet focus of my experiments to the demands of being a public figure.
What personal battles were you fighting privately?
I often struggled with my own temperament. I had quite an explosive temper, and I dealt with a recurring sense of unbalance in my nervous system, which I observed in myself much as I did in my research subjects.
What was life like in your final years?
My later years were spent continuing my research, even as the political environment in the Soviet Union became increasingly difficult. I remained deeply committed to my work on temperament and neuroses until the very end.
When and where and how did you pass away, and how old were you?
I passed away on February 27th, 1936, in Leningrad, at the age of 86 from pneumonia.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
While I am often associated with a bell in textbooks, my research was far more complex and utilized a variety of stimuli. Also, in my final moments, I was so dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge that I asked a student to sit by my bed and record my own physiological state as I was dying.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Be dedicated, work hard, do not let the limitations of your environment or your own frustrations stop you. If you are passionate about the truth, follow where the data leads you with relentless persistence.
That is some profound advice, Ivan. Before we wrap up, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to share with our listeners?
Only that I am grateful for this opportunity to be remembered. Curiosity is the most important human trait. Keep questioning, keep experimenting, and never stop trying to understand the world around you. Thank you for having me, Calvin.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ivan. It was truly an honor to speak with such a foundational figure in science. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.